Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Less Known Classics. This is episode number 1558 and episode number 1452. Now, these trades from Marvel, the first one's from Charles Shaw, which is the last of the Charles Shaw trades I have right now. I might have more in the future. And the other one is a trade from Cullen Bunn. Yes, Cullen Bunn. First up, it is the trade from Charles Shaw. We have the Wolverines. This is the first volume that collects issues from the series. This is Dancing with the Devil. In case you don't know what this series is, Wolverines, it is Marvel's first and only ever weekly series. And you probably think, one month to live. That was actually a 5-issue limited series. And in the case of this one, this was longer than that. Yes. And this is Marvel cashing in on what DC was doing at this period of time, which they had weekly series like Batman Eternal, New 52 Futures End, which then did a whole review of that, and Earth 2 Worlds End, which I thought was the third best title. It was actually second best title of the three. The worst, no denying, it was actually New 52 Futures End, which had consistent artwork, not consistent writing per se. One of the cases, Batman Eternal, good writing, not consistent artwork. That was basically what it was. That was a 52-issue weekly series. If you're curious, though, how long this series lasted for something weekly? 20 issues. And you might ask, Nick, why did they end the 20 issues if it was a weekly series? Secret Wars. That's the reason why. Now, this series follows up from two... Basically, this whole thing started in the death... This whole series had been building up for the last few years. It started in 2012 with the 5th volume Wolverine by, I think it was Paul Cornell, where he lost his healing factor, and in the next volume, volume 6, he got a brand new attire, and we just counted into his death, which happened in Death Wolverine miniseries that was released in, I think it was like late 2013, I think it was. I talked to Shaw about this. He was kind of surprised when they brought back Wolverine in 2017, the fact that he kept dead for almost 4 years. Which is something, and almost completely unheard of for some characters like Wolverine. Of course, from the Death Wolverine limited series, we had two miniseries that come right afterwards. One is The Logan Legacy, which was a 7-issue limited series that Shaw wrote the first and last issue for, while the rest of the series had a bunch of rares with it. And you also had another miniseries called The Weapon X Program. That was, I believe, was a 5-issue miniseries with Shaw. They wrote this one. He wrote the whole thing for this one. While The Logan Legacy had a series of rares with it. And this follows up from those two miniseries, where you had the characters from both the two series teaming up. Now, in Logan Legacy, you had Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, X-23, who later became Wolverine after this, Mystique, like any person associated with Wolverine was actually in that series. The Weapon X program were, simply put, the people who showed up at the end of issue 4, and they follow up with them right after that series. Now, they're led by a character which calls Ogun, and then Larry changed him to Shogun. Yeah, that's him right there, and that's Laura in her all-new X-Men costume. Yeah, that's the costume she wore when she was part of the all-new X-Men. This was just after her appearance in the Avengers Arena series. Now we have Shogun's crew, what remains of them, and the people who knew Wolverine, going back to a former Weapon X facility known as the Paradise that show up in Death Wolverine Limited Series. And this is 1 month after the events of the Weapon X program and the Logan Legacy. This is 1 month later. Well, they go in, and we have one of the members, I think his name is Junk. Actually, his name is Steel, I think it is. Where he's hitting on Lady Deathstrike. Yes, he's hitting on Lady Deathstrike because she's hot. Why not? And where he talked to her briefly, like, how did she know Logan? She pursued him for years, probably the fact that tell him that he was responsible for her father's death. And it's like, oh, yeah, you had a thing for him, but he didn't have a thing, the claws were turned off. And he points out, though, she's gorgeous. which she doesn't say much to that at all. I'm sure she would agree. She's a gorgeous woman. Why not? Any guy, any male reader would agree. Lady Deathstrike is hot. So is Mystique. So they go in and we have Laura and Daken. Yes, Daken. Without his mask on when he's wearing his Wolverine costume, his dark Wolverine costume, and they go in and they find this. They find Logan in this steel stuff. And then Mr. Sinister shows up. Yes, Mr. Sinister. A character who's had interactions with Wolverine. He doesn't have a past with him for some reason. Now, I do have a theory of why that they have him teased here. Because they teased him in, I think in the film X-Apocalypse, which came out just long after this. They hinted at this, I believe, in Days of Future Past, if I'm mistaken. So, basically what he does, he shows up, takes Wolverine's remains, and chops off Daken's arm and removes his eyeball. Yes, he gouged out his eye. And also, it's revealed at the end of the issue, at the end of the very first issue, Daken's lost his healing factor. Though later on, he did get it back. Don't worry about that. Yeah, and here's something really weird, though. The arm he removed was the arm that had his tattoo. I'm like, really? Why would you pick it? Why would you pick the arm that had the trouble tattoo to remove? What was wrong with the other arm? Don't know. So, Shogun decided to inject him with a drug to kind of restore his healing factor. I believe this drug is supposed to be Runex. This was a drug that even popped up in the Old Man Logan series that actually accelerated his healing factor. So, we have them basically searching for Sinister, and they have the contact of this woman named Femille. Yeah, she's kind of like a female version of Phantom X, kind of in a way. And in the very next, that's the end of issue 2. 3 is simply her with, and by the way, the issue's got, I don't like this artwork at all. And I should point out the writers. Now, Scholl does write the series, but he only writes for this trade here. Issues 1, 3, and 5, 2, and 4, done by Ray Fox. And, of course, the issues have got different artists, too. The first issue is done by Nick Bradshaw and Weldon Wong. The second issue is Allison Brooks. Juan Doe, that's issue 3. And, of course, you have Alyssa Krista, who does, pays basically issue 1 and 4. You have Jonathan Marks, that's issue number 5. Nick Bradshaw does the first 2 issues in issue 5 in here. 3 and 4 done by Andy Clark and Martin Garcia. Now, Faca Pacia is also the colorist in here. Now, this issue 3 has Femille break into a room that's occupied by the Punisher. Yes, the Punisher. And you're thinking, what the heck is the Punisher doing in a series all about Wolverine? He's interacted with him before, so yeah, he does know Wolverine. And of course, you have to steal something from him. By the way, this is his only appearance in the series. He never, as far as I don't think he appears in the series after this. So, yeah, of course, I have to deal with Mr. Sinister. By the way, the artwork for issue 3, oh my gosh, this artwork is terrible. Like, it is so bad. And this is only issue 3. And by far, love the cover artwork. The cover artwork is really good. Like, this is how the artist draws the Punisher. I like the colors. I am not a fan of the style. Yep. And then, of course, we have, then we have Siphon, who was a character show up in the Weapon X program. He shows up here, too. And they had to team up with Femille to take him out. And then, of course, they go and look for Mr. Sinister. Mystique, of course, dealing with their own thing. And, they go to a particular facility. Still looking for Mr. Sinister. And we also have appearance by Fing Fang Foom. My friend Nego would love the fact that Fing Fang Foom shows up. He loves this character. So do I. And also, we have Thor showing up. And the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider Witch. That's kind of weird. Which, yeah, this series came out in 2015. This is roughly a year before the events. This is a year before the events of Clone Conspiracy. So this is probably when he was still apparently dead. and it's a really fun conclusion. And then the final issue ends here with appearance by Storm, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. And if you're curious though, why does Storm have a mohawk? Well, that was something because of the events of AVX. And you're curious though, who did that to her? Wolverine did. Where after he said to cut her hair, made out with her and started a relation with her, it lasted for a whole year before he died. Yes, Wolverine and Storm, which made sense at the time, though I still think today that ending a relationship between Black Panther and Storm was a terrible idea. But this book is great. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Really good book. Love the Wolverines. I can't wait to get my hands. Excuse me, in the rest of the trade series. Next up we have Captain America and the Avengers, the complete collection. Now, this is the entire 12 issues that Colin Bunn did for the Captain America and series. I call it Captain America and because every several issues they keep changing who he teams up with. Now for issues, this is basically 629 to 640 of the series. 629 to 632 teams up with Hawkeye. 633 to 635 Iron Man. 635.1 Namor. And as for 636 to 640, it is in fact the Black Widow. Now, the main recurring character that appears in all the issues, except for point 1, is a one named Kirsch. Where, I like the writing for Colin Bunn. I did not like the Captain America Hawkeye's artwork. We're talking about Sarah Perditi. Yeah, I like the cover art here. The cover is really good. I love this artwork. And this artwork for the Captain America Hawkeye issues is not good. Look at this. The backgrounds are fine. It just says how the face is looking here. It is not very good. Now, in these first few issues, we have them basically they got some terrorists. Then we're into Kirsch the first time. There's also involving lizard people. Yes, lizard people. Where the person who's trying to bring back this race of lizard people, which in this underground city, and of course, Captain America runs into frickin' Stegoron. Well, Stegoron's like, Stegoron. He's like, you know me? And he's like, no, I read about you in the Avenger files. If you're curious though, who the heck Stegoron is, he's a Spider-Man villain. Yes, Stegoron the Dinosaur Man. Made his first appearance back in the 70s. Heck, there's this hilarious line that Jameson said in a 2-part cross between Marvel 2 and Marvel Team Up, where he's shocked to see dinosaurs on Broadway. He's like, oh crap, dinosaurs on Broadway. Actual living dinosaurs. And here's something interesting though. Cap pointed this out in the book when he first saw his picture. He thought he was the lizard. Which, by the way, it was kind of the same thing with the character the iguana. Yes, seriously. Now, I should point out, every time that Kirsch shows up in this series, she acts completely different. This doesn't look exactly the same, but acts differently. Now, in the Iron Man one, this one's just pure fun. I love the Captain America Iron Man stuff. Where Weapons Expo and, let's see, because of course it's Tony Stark. What do you expect, Weapon Expo? And then we have various villains pop up here too. We have Zaran, Batroc the Leaper, Machete, and Rapido. And we have Iron Man. I believe this is the Extremis armor. Yes, my friend Edgar. I don't remember what his opinion is on this armor, but it's fun. I actually like this armor. This is the armor he was having in the Matt Fraction run for Iron Man. Yep, and these are fun set of issues, and the artwork is so much improved for these issues. These issues are done by Barry Kitson, who is a very good artist. I love Barry Kitson's artwork. For one thing, Kirsch looks a lot better on this artwork because in the other artwork, she looked kind of chubby in the cheeks. I did not like the way she was drawn in that book. This book is better, a lot more interesting. It feels like basically like Colin Bunn is just taking some notes from Matt Fraction's run, and probably a little bit from how Dave Mitchell wrote Iron Man, where he's just so exciting and so cool. Gotta love these 3 issues. Now, what about 653 635.1. This is a standalone issue set in World War II, where you have Captain America team with Namor the Submariner, and it's just a really good standalone issue. This is done by Will Conrad. Yeah, Will Conrad does this interior artwork, which this is really good. I love this artwork. The last few issues is team up with Black Widow, and the interior artwork, as you can tell by this cover here, it's one of my personal favorite artists. I've never met him. It's Francesco Fracchivilla. Yes, I believe this is an Italian artist, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I've seen this guy's art before, and I love this guy's artwork. Like, it's pretty much done in this style of like a bit of like a noir. It's a painted noir style. Is the best way to describe it. And the story for this one is that we have Black Widow killing a Kirsch. Like, oh, I'm sorry, kills another Kirsch. It turns out that the Kirsches which show up all events this whole run have been alternate versions of the same person. And this cult's controversial thing. And of course, Black Widow and Cap do go back to Earth. Of course, you have Hawkeye appearing in these issues because of course he does. Despite the fact I love the artwork for these last 5 issues, not really a fan of the story. I think that the whole Colts multiversal thing was kind of weird and not thoroughly explained. And here's the weird thing about Kirsch. Never appears after these issues. Yeah, she disappears. She has not appeared in the comics since then. But in the case of what Cullen Bunn did with these issues here, Captain America and Hawkeye, love the writing, did not like the artwork. Captain America and Iron Man, love both. Captain America and Namor, love both. In the case of the 5 issues, Captain America and Black Widow, love the artwork, didn't like the story very much. Yeah, it's kind of a weak ending to this really good series. Not a very long series, mind you. Yes, because originally this was known as Captain America and Bucky for about 9 issues, and then of course they kept changing a few issues. But I like this. This is pretty good. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Excuse me, yeah. But yeah, so that's it for Circle of You. Next two is going to be Drugstore in the World. That'll be next. Okay, next video. Bye.